Where are you staying, David?
What's that?
Where are you staying?
Here.
You're staying at this hotel?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's funky, but it's good. It's fine. It's certainly convenient.
Yes.
It was,
Were you the fifth floor?
no, I'm on the first floor.
No, I mean the Slido, the answer that was where have you come?
No. That was somebody else. And things are good with you otherwise? Busy?
No, I'm not busy. I'm just happy enjoying my retirement apart from board directing and speaking.
Got it.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'll go to the back so that not everybody sees my... Excuse me. Okay. At lunch, we'll take it off, okay?
Est-ce que je peux prendre les deux micros pour la salle? Oui, attends, je te les donne. Pas de souci, pas de souci.
It's okay. All right, good to go. Yeah.
Gauche et celui-là ici.
Welcome back for the coffee break. Thank you very much for coming back so promptly. We're running a little bit behind, so do take a seat. But we had the time to do some tech checks whilst you were all enjoying the coffee. Hope you loved it. How nice to get some pastéis de nata and croissants and beignets, quite a mix of things. So, we already heard this morning from Ali on the topic of AI. It's definitely one of the most misunderstood but relevant topics in digital advertising at the moment. We have flown the perfect speaker over for you today who's going to help demystify AI, run through what you need to know and what you don't need to know, get some clarity around AI. The speaker is Dominique Rose Van-Winther, who is the CEO of Final Upgrade AI. And she's going to talk about how companies are using AI in practical terms today, beyond the hype, to get smarter and faster and more creative outcomes. And yes, there will be a free live demo. So please welcome Dominique.
Great. Thank you so much. I bet you guys have heard a little bit about AI recently. Have you been at a couple of conferences that discuss this? I'm going to give you a little bit of a crash course. So we're going to start with the basics. AI is also known as artificial intelligence. I'm just kidding. That would be horrible. You guys have spent probably the past year immersed in everything about AI, right? Hearing about it in all of the headlines, having to incorporate it into the business, having to bring it into everything that you do, or not. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is a little bit different, because I'm going to talk to you about both your personal transformation as well as that of the company. We're going to call it Thrive or Die in the age of AI, because we like to be dramatic and fun, right? So I'm going to start before we talk about actual AI and demos. I'm going to talk to you a little bit around the transformation and the change of the paradigm shift around tech. Because AI has been around for a long time. In fact, most computer programmers or IT professionals have known a lot about all of the tech that has been evolving. So why now? Do we have any programmers in the room? Anybody who's an IT professional that then changed over? Oh, okay, we got some. They're like, yes, Anyone has a friend who works in IT or is a programmer? Oh, fantastic, they have friends. This is good. So the world is changing really fast on this front, but actually I want to give you a little bit of a lens around that transformation, because all of this tech has been evolving for many decades. But actually there's one fundamental shift that happened 2.5 years ago with the launch of ChatGPT. It was a language change. Because before that, we had 4 people in the room that in essence could work with computers. And globally, about 27 million. That's not very many. In fact, significantly more people can actually code in Excel than can code computers, believe it or not. The change that happened is actually one of language. It means we can talk to computers and computers can talk to us. And that's a fundamental shift around all of the technology that has happened. And it means that all of the tech that all of IT professionals and computer scientists and programmers could previously go and have access to, now we can all play with it. But are we? We're seeing some companies that evolve a lot faster. The darling of tech and fintech in Europe, Klarna, is a fantastic example. Have you guys been following some of the stuff that Klarna's been doing? A little bit? Oh, I love this example. I am an AI maximalist, so I believe that AI should take over a lot of roles and jobs and optimize things. But I also believe in the future and the humanity. Sorry, long flight last night. I also believe in all of the transformation, the positive change that's going to bring. But Klarna's been a fantastic example. Because last year, in March, they started off with a transformation and a shift that was around customer service. And they replaced 2/3 of their customer service with AI. And everyone at the time was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. And then it wasn't. Because actually, everything improved. It changed from average customer interactions from 11 minutes to 2. Now, if you call your bank or your mobile provider right now, get the customer service line, and you can press 1 to get an actual person, and you can press 2 in order to get the automated system. Tell me, who pushes 2? No. Why? Because it's stupid. It doesn't work very well, right? It's not intelligent AI. But we're entering the age where actually computers are intelligent AI and they can solve problems. In fact, in this case, they had 25% less repeat inquiries on the same topic. In other words, AI fixed it the first time. And $40 million additional profit. We know what that means. They carefully crafted their press release. We added an additional $40 million in profit to our bottom line. I'm like, layoffs. Just say it. But then they started their further transformation. I don't know how much you guys have followed that entire evolution. I talk about Klarna globally because it's like one of the most daring companies in terms of their transformation. Last summer in August, they said, you know what? This AI stuff's working great for us. We're going to go replace half of our workforce with AI. Do not recommend that to most companies. And then they scared the Jesus out of every single tech company by saying, you know what? We're going to replace all of our systems, including Salesforce and Workday, with AI. We built our own systems. How many of you work with like a Salesforce or a HubSpot? How many of you love it? If you could immediately go to your computer and go, you know what? I want a dashboard that sits on the database, and I want it to look like exactly this, and I want to pull exactly that data, and every time I give an update, I want to just talk into my phone for it. Actually, I want the update to happen automatically because it's recording all of my meetings. Oh, we all want that, right? That is pretty much what Klarna did. And then from a marketing perspective, it's been really interesting because they increased all their outputs by 37%, decreased their budget by 37%, doubled all of their content and the work that they're doing. Then they went and had a huge adoption rate across comms and marketing, and they saved huge amounts of money on all of their imagery and everything that they were developing. It also cut all of their agency costs by 25%. Massive. And of course, this terrifies every agency. And by the end of this year, they'll have saved $10 million annually, just in marketing costs alone. Most of that is also because they're pulling it all internal. At the end of the year, just in terms of design and imagery, they're going to save $6 million on top of that. That's massive transformation. You know how they did it? They went and hired 100 AI engineers and they plopped them over in Warsaw in a hub that is retooling the entire business from start to finish. Oh, that's so cool. Again, I'm an AI maximalist, so be warned. But when everyone sees these headlines, you go, okay, so what's going to actually happen? Is this going to replace me? Is it going to replace my job? Is it going to replace all my agencies? Is it going to do all of the above? Okay, I'll give you a clue. It's a lot of the above. And so I'm going to go and give you a little bit of a lens on how we see it, and also some tips and tricks on how to actually get jump-started. I call myself a chief AI evangelist, mostly because CEO is a little bit boring, overused. I also believe that a chief AI evangelist, or anybody who is an AI evangelist, is actually one of the most important roles right now in a business. The people that program are over there. The AI evangelist is the person that sits in the business and figures out how you're going to bring it in. And it's right now the most in-demand job and skill set that's out there. Because everybody, I get it all the time, I get C-suite executives coming, I need to hire for this role. Who you got that you've trained or that is advanced, knows all of the tech and change? And because I'm not boring, I'm also joined by my trusty mascot, AstroCat. Because I go around the world training all sorts of people about AI and helping them to understand the paradigm shift and everything. And if I don't use bright colors and beautiful slides, people just sit in their phones. But I can see all of your eyeballs, so you see, it's worked. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of things. First, I have a firm belief that most of the time, if you're using AI, no one should ever know about it. Or unless it's intentional. There's a lot of ads out there that are fantastic, that are actually AI generated, but nobody talks about them because they didn't know. And that's fantastic. So, give you a couple of examples of how good the tech is at the moment. It's really advanced further than you can imagine. Here's a live call, conversational AI, with a human being, a sales call, follow up on someone visiting the website. Have a listen.
Hey, James.
I'm not interested, man.
Yeah, no worries. I hate calls out of the blue too. But I'm actually from Apple, and I saw you were checking out Vision Pro and were about to pre-order but left the page.
Yeah,
I was curious, what had you looking into potential? Okay, I can respect that. Can I just ask one question before you go?
Fine, shoot. What's up?
Why did you decide not to pre-order the Vision Pros? I saw you changed your mind last minute.
Because they are crazy expensive. I'm going to get the MetaQuest instead.
I get it. But you saw what happened to Threads, right? Do you think the MetaQuest will end up being a better product than the Vision Pros? Or is it just the price?
So other than that brief moment where it was like, haha, where everyone went, whoa, what was that? If that call happened with you, I bet you wouldn't be clued in immediately that it was AI. That's how good the tech is. And this is old tech. This is from about a year ago. Now the tech has advanced so much more. We have a time at the end, which we never do. Then I will show you a live conversational one that you can play around with. Most of the time, when good AI is used at a very high quality, nobody knows. And I'm going to test you, professional marketeers, to see if you can. I did a joint project that was whether you could figure out what's AI and what's not. And so let's put it to the test. Is this human or is this AI? Yeah? Human, raise your hand. Now, look to your left, look to your right. If the person doesn't raise their hand and vote, afterwards I'm going to say point at them. Okay? So, human, raise your hands. All right. AI, raise your hands. Good 50-50, majority with human. Okay, did anyone not vote? Point to them right now. Hey, you see? Oh, yeah. This, my friends, is AI. But look at the kinds of prompts that we use, all about what's the camera lens, how are you using it, like what's the lighting, etc. How do most people think we prompt? Asian lady, black backdrop. And then, of course, you get a very standardized look. Human or AI? This is a campaign from MSIG, one of the largest insurance providers in the world. They're Japanese, hence the origami. All right? Now you're like, ooh, Japanese company. That might cue us in. Human, raise your hands. All right, AI, raise your hands. Okay, human is the winner, but guess what? This is all AI. All of their global campaigns that are on origami, all of it AI generate. In fact, at one point, I reached out to them. I was like, is that a secret? Like, because I trained them how to do it themselves without agencies. They were overjoyed. And they go, it's not a secret. And I went and posted online. And okay, people reached out. And but you could have hired an origami artist. It would have been perfect. Yes, you tripled the budget. Same experience. It's great. So that is AI. All right. Here's two. One of these, I'm going to make it easier by showing you two at once. One of these is straight from the Diageo website, and the other was created by us. Who thinks number one is the AI? Raise your hand. Who thinks two is the AI? Heavy majority, you're wrong again. That is straight from their website, $40,000 photo shoot. Look at these oranges. Nobody cuts oranges like that. All right, what about this one? All right, how about the lady, we'll say the Asian lady first. Who thinks that she is human? Raise your hands. Who thinks AI? Got it wrong again. She is a fake. We did all the branding, 3D modeling, to be able to put that into any photo. So for FedEx, they're like, you know what? Global gives us a whole bunch of photos, bunch of white people. Well, actually, that's an exception. I go, but we're working in Asia. We need Asian faces. So we did the 3D modeling of all of their trucks and their lanyards and their outfits and everything, and now they can get instant photos of everything that they need in terms of content, but nobody knows. Yeah? Look. All AI. Nobody knows. Last one. Okay, which one is human? Raise your hand if you think number one is human. Raise your hand if you think number two is human. You're all wrong, they're both AI. Take a look at the phone. What type of phone is that? There's no camera lens. When's the last time you saw a phone without a camera lens? For everything number two that is around efficiency, you have to know more than just what's up. You have to know more than just ChatGPT. How many people use ChatGPT? Everyone. Who didn't raise their hand? I'm going to show you a lens on that, because everything is talk about efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. Do you feel like AI is right now solving 40–50% of all of your work? No, a bunch of shaking heads. To show you what the difference is, because actually the technology is built to pretty much optimize 30, 40, 50% of your day. Less for you guys. You guys are senior people. You spend time talking to people. AI can't do that yet. But as you look through your company, actually massive optimization. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration of what that looks like. Okay, I'll use that one. It's very hard to type, though, while I'm doing this. So, no, yes, yes, there we go. It's very difficult to do that. So, I'm going to show you a live demo in terms of how we work with things. And in order to get it started, we need a little bit of an example. So, I want you to give me an industry. Beauty, great. Give me a unique, interesting product in the beauty sector. Lipstick, great. You give me a market, country market. Ireland, fantastic. Give me a unique customer or unique audience that we're going to focus on. Yes. 17-year-old girls. We're going to say it's going to be, and we're going to say it's going to be purple. So, I never, ever type prompts. So, we need to have an expansion and marketing campaign that's for a lipstick that's purple, that's designed for 16-year-olds for their 16th birthday. It's supposed to be their first lipstick. And so it's going to be slightly subtle, maybe not first lipstick. I can see you're a teenage. You have teenage kids, don't you? And girls. She's like, no, darling, mine are 7. So anyway, I digress. So, and we're going to be looking specifically at Ireland. I want you to give me 3 prompts. I want one that is about a research prompt that is going to do research in terms of what people are talking about online, about the first lipsticks that they have when they're 16 and what's important, and why it's important for 16-year-old girls to have lipstick, because we want to target and understand that better. I want you to give me another prompt that talks about who the competitors are in the space, in specifically Ireland, and generally what are they talking about. And I'll give me a third one that just talks about generally teenagers and their behavior around beauty in Ireland. Prepare all 3 of these prompts. Yeah. So I never type prompts because it's just too slow. Oops. But now, come on, you can do it. There we go. It should have copied, I think. User error. It's never the AI. Ay, ay, ay. Sorry. Copy there, paste here. There we go. Okay. So now we have our 3 focus prompts. Do you know Perplexity? Who uses Perplexity in the room? Oh, okay, good. Very good. Perplexity is great at doing research. And in fact, we can go and take that 3rd research, the competitor landscape, and we're going to go plop that one into here. Oops, into here. That's the beauty brands research. Now we're going to go and look in Perplexity. Now, the cool thing about Perplexity and Grok's X is that you can turn off web search and you can turn on social search, and now you can search Reddit. Who uses Reddit in the room? Abundance of information on everything, right? So we want to research what teenage girls are talking about on Reddit, right? Because maybe that will give us some nice insights into the space. How many of you use Grok? Not very many. Interesting. So you can use Grok that's on the main page, but what I do is I go into this Grok and I can turn off web search, and now I can just search what people talk about online on X. So I can now go and also, let's say, research what they're talking about. That's fantastic for doing customer research for a very first cut, right? So how many of you use Claude? Anybody? Oh, Claude's fantastic. ChatGPT writes a lot of words. Claude is like your analyst. It's fantastic. So we're going to say, I want to develop a prompt that will build my strategy for market expansion into Ireland with this teenage girl's first lipstick. And I'm going to upload a whole bunch of research so that we can analyze that and extract very initial ideas. And give me a couple of creative campaigns that'll match it. Maybe, for example, for their 16th birthday. Yeah. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to go and take this. Look at all this research. Oh, color options, it's all about confidence, what's missing in the market, what the price points are, etc. Great. We're not going to read it. We don't have time. We don't have enough time for this. Oh, so we're just going to flip through why lipstick at 16 feels important, key quotes, insights, significance, etc. No, we're not going to read that either. We're just going to put it in there. We are marketeers that have turned off our brain. There we go. So now we're going to research what teenage girls do in Ireland talk about. Again, emotion, significance, colors, choice. Lipstick at 16 is important. Representative quotes that has been extracted from it. Oh, that'd be great for my deck. Oh, fantastic. I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to go put it in. Now I've attached all 3 of the research pieces, and I'm going to go and write what my strategy is going to be. Irish teens' first lipstick marketing expansion strategy. Key market insights, color and product preferences, right? Regarding texture, glossy finishes are popular for a fun, youthful look. While Matt, okay, yeah. Brand landscape. So here's also who the competitors are in this space. Social and cultural context. Market opportunity, strategic recommendations. Awesome. Marketing strategy. My first lipstick campaign. Awfully brilliant idea, but it did steal it from me. Sweet 16 signature campaign. Community co-creation campaign. Wonderful. Distribution strategy. La 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 la. And my shade, my story. The community campaign. This is fantastic. Who's going to go in business with me? Do we have anybody working in the beauty sector here? Anybody? Let's talk later. Ha. Okay, so we're going to copy that. What's the next step that we normally have to do? Who uses Gamma in the room? Today is the day you learn about Gamma. Your life will change. I will go into here. I will copy and paste the wall of text that I have pulled together. And I will go make sure that it's going to create it in English. We are going to go and create a deck. Let's pick a color, let's say. Oh, I can do matchy-matchy with me, maybe, huh? Purple. Great. That's not purple. Ooh, this would be very nice. Okay. And now we're going to go and create a PowerPoint deck. How much time do we spend in the average day designing PowerPoint decks? Maybe not always you guys, but your teams, massive amounts of time. And this will go. Now, who has Copilot in the room? Who loves their Copilot? Yeah, exactly. Copilot can go and design decks, but it designs it like a 12-year-old. This does real PowerPoint design. Look at this. And if I scroll up, look at this. How long would it take you to design that? Yeah? Current brand landscape. Product preferences and the color. Look, even auto-generated all of my images. Oh, yeah, she's great. She has 5 fingers? Yeah, it's not bad. She's applying it to her chin, but not too bad. Social and cultural context. Marketing opportunity gaps. Product strategy. Marketing campaign concepts. Implementation. Do you know how long it takes to create a slide that is a timeline? Can everyone relate to this? You're like, that's a 2-hour job. No, it takes forever. So do you see now when I talk about how you can use multiple tools and train up all of your team to suddenly take care of 30, 40, 50% of their job? Is that cool? We don't have time to show the last one because I'm already running over. Ha ha ha, I always run over. They're already used to me, I think. So that's AI multi-tooling. And that's what I go around the world going and showing people. You've got a very shocked look and smile on your face. You're like, that was amazing. If you can go and use a lot of the different tools just differently, it will optimize so much more of your time. And from a creative perspective, then you can generate ideas. How many of you spend a lot of time, or your teams spend a lot of time sitting in a room brainstorming? Huge amounts of time. It's like pulling teeth. Give me ideas. No, we don't like that one. Give me an idea. Like, AI can come up and generate 500 ideas, and then I can go and, now, can AI be creative and can it give me one perfect campaign? No, it's rubbish. But if you create AI that is your persona, you can take 500 ideas and throw it at the persona, and it will tell you which ones are best. We do it all the time with our clients. And then we show the clients this insight, and they go, oh, that's awesome. That was exactly the one I chose. Lastly, the big innovation is to be Lord of the bots, because there's a reckoning coming. And right now in marketing, there's really a big divergence going to happen. It's people that know the tech and don't know the tech. And it's going to massively transform over the next couple of years. What is the single-handedly biggest strategy that you can have in order to transform your company? Typically, if you have a CEO or a board that's like, change isn't happening fast enough, what do? Chop the top, promote people that actually know a lot of the technology and change. We saw it in the digital revolution of all of the new tech. If you're not on board with the tech personally, then a reckoning is definitely going to be coming, right? Moderna was a great company that went into this. They went through the entire company and created GPTs and AI automation across the entire organization, optimized everything very fast. So you have to understand how you're going to almost program and stitch together a lot of AI tools together so that they can work on behalf of your company and your team. And that's what all the conversation is about. But most people are confused because they go, I go to conferences and everyone's talking either about case studies or they're selling you tech. But most of the tech that they're selling you, a lot of the time it's not around optimization of the 20, 30, 40% of your time. So when you take that tech, you bring it in, it can do a fantastic job. Of course, it uplevels the quality of what you can do. It gives you more insights. Does it save you 30% of your time? Probably not. What your CEOs and boards and leadership of companies actually want is for everyone to get on board with something like AI multi-tooling, because then you can get 20, 30% more out of every single person. Would that be amazing? Say yay! Oh, yes, I knew you were out there. You were right, they talk a lot more. So, adoption, though, is actually all about people. I came and showed a whole bunch of tech. Guess what? Doesn't matter. I have people that come up all the time. They go, hey, last time you showed me a couple tools, and the presentation was cut short. What else you got? And I go, how are you using what I already gave you? Of course. He's like, stop picking on me. The challenge around it is actually around adoption. A lot of people already have tools in their company. Who's talking to their AI like I do? First step, start talking to your AI. Second step, try to convince everyone you're not insane. Yeah? Because we need more of these AI evangelists in every single role. And that's where the big role potentially is for everyone in this room, is to you're either going to lead it or you're going to be disrupted by this change. But it's not hard. What I just did on stage, would anybody here say, oh my God, I don't know if I could do that? Yeah? Raise your hand if you think I could throw you up on stage right now, you could do it. Maybe a little bit slower than me. Okay, hop on up. No, I'm kidding. We will do that later during the master class. Actually, I won't pick on people because it's only a 30-minute one, but I'm going to literally take you through. Throw me a problem, I'm going to show you how to fix it with AI. I'm going to show you the power of AI multi-tooling, just literally on stage. I'm excellent at this. So, you have to figure out how to be the leader of all of the AI transformation and change. Because it's actually an entire change and shift into just, I have no idea where we're going with all of this, but like, it's chaotic. I just embrace it and move forward. There's an entire trend that's around the decentralization of the CTO role. This is the biggest mistake that most companies are making. Who do you think leads most of the digital transformation in big corporations? What's the role? What do you think? Yeah, who's responsible for it, though, in terms of roles normally? Yeah, the CTO. Who do you think is the best place to drive cultural transformation of people? Not the CTO. I can tell you that. I very rarely meet anyone who's in a CTO role that is equipped to handle this transformation and change. So you know what you have? You have the decentralization of the CTO role, because they're like, great, CTO sits over there, I want one sitting in marketing, because that's the person that's going to drive all of the change that I actually need. And I need somebody that understands what we're trying to do as a business so they can go build all the automation that she just showed on stage, right? You have to embrace all of this change, and you have to know the tech in order to lead it. I run into leaders all the time that go, you know what? My team's using it. I go, first, unlikely. Second, what are you using? How are you getting on board? Because just assigning it to your team to go and do it isn't enough for driving all of this transformation and change. And then you think about the next evolution, which is actually, think about this, your future customer isn't human. We talked about it a little bit briefly, that is this machine to machine, or human to machine, or marketing to machine, and everyone's doing shopping and trying to identify what they want to purchase by using AI tools. And are you showing up in those? Let's do a little quick experiment. Don't worry, it's my second to last slide. A quick experiment. Who here has in their company a Google search strategy? Yeah? Okay, who has a Bing strategy? Nobody. We do. You know why? Most of the population right now on Earth is using ChatGPT. What do you think it uses? Do you think that the major partner for Microsoft is paying Google to search? No. So all the research that I just did searched Bing, Is your product showing up on the first 2 pages of Bing? When was the last time you guys opened Bing willingly? We know sometimes your PC forces you to do it. I think it's okay. Even do we have Microsoft in the room? Yeah. Yeah. It's okay though, right? It's like they poke fun at it too. These products are all going to transform how we market and how we change everything in the future. So, I will show you more fun things later during the master class. If you scan this, I'll send you a whole bunch of links of all sorts of tools and other things that you should go check out, and tips and techniques and everything in the space. And I have left no time for Q&A, but I think I answered probably all of your questions immediately. So, but you can find me, because I'm very difficult to find in a sea of people, I recognize that, but you can find me by the purple during the breaks. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you very much to Dominique. I want to say I launched Bing, and I think it's a great search engine from our excellent sponsor, Microsoft, but I also understand that Google have great products too. But I'm very excited to hear about all the searching being done on Bing. It was a long time ago, though. So thank you very much to Dominique. I am, like you, slightly shocked and surprised, and I wonder if I'll be here next year or I will be an automated AI chatbot. And then will you be here, an automated AI chatbot talking to an automated audience, maybe? On to another super hot topic, retail media. That's another one of the topics that we heard from Ali about this morning. Our next speaker is the co-founder of Retail Media Works, Colin Lewis, who has worked with brands and retailers all around the world on their retail media strategies, and who has written 8 best practice guides. It couldn't be anybody better. I saw him last week presenting at Retail Media X, so couldn't really be anybody to help us understand retail media, the creativity, the collaboration, and the performance that we need. So please welcome Colin Lewis.
Good afternoon. Sort of disappointed to have to follow that from Dominique, but you know, I'll do my best. Now let me just get my little clicker, which I think is here, and we'll kick off. So I'm going to talk to you, press very hard apparently, about retail media. About myself, I work, and the reason I'm telling you about myself, because what you're going to hear is a reflection of this work. So I work on the brand side to help them think through their digital commerce and retail media strategy, clients in New Zealand, Australia, Italy, France, UK, all over the world. And on the retailer side, I work with the retailers to help them set up their retail media networks. So Superdrug in the UK, Memeda, Migros in Turkey, Terry White in Australia, Warehouse Group New Zealand, and Senko Sud in Latin America. And what you're going to hear is a reflection of all that. Other thing I do is, if I can get push really hard, is I do a lot of writing, and I don't use AI to do all my writing. I sit and cry in front of the laptop for hours and hours, probably like Daniel Knapp does, and write it the hard way. One of the things I do is every year I write a thing called the 7 Challenges for Retail Media, and I launched that last week at Retail Media X. And it's supposed to be coming up on the screen. There we go, yeah. What you're going to hear is a few of those items that we're going to talk about now. And in fact, I brought in one from last year because it's still specifically relevant, and you're going to see that now. Now, funnily enough, all the topics that are mentioned this morning are a thread through what I'm going to talk about. So it may look as though myself, Daniel, Alison, and Constantine talked earlier, but I guarantee you we did not. The word creativity, I think, is going to be the theme for retail media, has to be the theme for retail media in 2025. And this line struck me, because that's the theme I want people to get across, is that all the conversation in retail media is about the thing, the ad unit, the network, the impact, the size of the market, and so on. And nobody's actually talking about the thing that makes it work, which is the content, the creativity associated with it. We confuse presence with impact. And because I'm sort of a bit of a nerd on certain things, I went off and really got to the bottom of going, what the hell is creativity? A lot of people talk about creativity in the abstract, and they say, creativity, amazing, blah, blah, blah. However, one thing I can guarantee you, that if I went through every single person in this audience, they would have a different definition of what creativity is. That's a problem, because if you don't have the same understanding, it's very difficult to move forward with anything. Now, because I'm a nerd, I went into the detail of this, and there is a professor out of University of Sussex, so nerd alert for the moment. There's a professor in the University of Sussex called Margaret Bowden, Professor Margaret Bowden. She's written extensively on creativity, and she says there's 3 different types of creativity: combinatorial, exploratory, and transformational. Now, combinatorial is where we mash up different ideas, and they're sort of like an unfamiliar combination of ideas, an unfamiliar combination of familiar ideas. And then there's this idea of exploratory, where we're just doing what's possible within existing structures. Now, just taking what Dominique just did, you could argue what some of the creativity that Dominique has been talking about there is combinatorial and exploratory within existing structures or weird mashups. There is a third type of creativity, which is called transformational creativity. The example that Margaret Bowden uses is the idea of how in the early 20th century, modernism came through and brand new writers writing in a completely different way that were a complete break from the past. And my countryman, James Joyce, is used as the example of this, where it was completely a break from the past and completely transformational. So just taking Dominique's cue there, you can see a lot of what we're talking about today on AI is combinatorial and exploratory, but we haven't reached the transformational piece yet, so there's still a lot to go. We all probably know some of these stats around creativity. This is a WARC report, this is the IPA in the UK, 6.1% increase in effectiveness if the creative content that inspires emotion, emotion being the key word there. We also know about creative quality from WARC, about driving profitability. Now, the thing is that when I am talking to the brand side, or when I'm talking to the retail media side, we talk about creativity in the abstract, and we never talk about the quality of that and the content of that. And the other thing we don't talk about in retail media, and this is my own clients, I'd like to point out, is we don't talk about the attention piece. And I'm sure you're all familiar with Carol Nelson-Field's work there. A lot of Karen's work is obviously on social and other forms of digital, but it hasn't been applied per se to retail media. But the rules are still there. And you know, we know not all attention is equal. The channel and the context matters. And there's a hierarchy of attention. And I guarantee you 100% that nobody in retail media is thinking through this. I've never heard this in any of the 10 countries I visited in the last year. These words just never exist. They don't talk. So attention and creativity are now 2 sides of what has to be introduced to retail media discussions. But then I just want to break from that to say, hey, retail media isn't just the thing you think it is. My friend Faris Jacob talks about this way, which is it's not simply a new place to disperse symbols, i.e. content, but rather an emergence of a new behavioral grammar as they begin to engage with their customers in new ways, in new spaces. That's a very fancy phrasing from Faris to say, this is a new thing, and if you think about it in a new thing way, you will get much better results. Whereas what everybody's doing is making the same error I used to do 10 years ago or whatever, 12 years ago, when I first came up against Facebook advertising. I'd try and take my print ad and wedge it into a Facebook advertising ad and go, I wonder why that's not working. That stupid Facebook ad, it's terrible because it doesn't work because I took my big print ad and squashed it into Facebook. We're doing the metaphorical equivalent of that now. We're taking our stuff that is elsewhere and squashing it into this. Finally, I would say to the retail media networks that are out there, they need to expand the remit from selling advertising to being the purveyor of creative ideas. At the moment, they're selling ads. Now it's going to move to being creative ideas. Okay, so that's creativity. I'm going to do a lot more talking around creativity over the year on that because, as I say, when I talk to the retailers, they don't think about it this way. And when I talk to the brands, it's typically a person who's head of e-commerce or head of retail media who doesn't come from an advertising or creative background. So this conversation is missing in retail media. Search is still sexy is my number 2. Now, this is my fun one because I'm delighted that Daniel mentioned this earlier on. He showed that search is still growing and the growth is coming from retail media. So that the data backs this up. 80% of all retail media is powered by a search bar. And as the kids might say, it's the OG of retail media. Search is still the thing. Now, the ways shoppers are searching is changing. And you saw even in a little bit of those prompts that Dominique had earlier on, we're speaking, like as though we're speaking to a real person. And you even do it on Google, like, how do I? What do I? Now, I'm a celiac, so I always look for gluten-free stuff. So I have to do these long-form searches all the time. And I can't just go gluten-free, because then I get all these crappy recipes that are inedible. And I have to do long-form searches. And the retailers are not doing this. The retailers now need to support what are called keyword-based, gluten-free, as well as these natural language inputs. They're not doing this, that's fine, but that's where we're going to. One of the things that the way we talk about search is as though it's a static capability, as though it has never changed and it's not going to change. Google made 25 changes in their search capability just in the last 18 months alone. A bit of trivia for you. I always like to show this particular, I got too carried away there. Let's see, can I go back? There we go. I always like to talk about this Amazon advertising scale. Over drinks tonight, you can kind of boast to everybody about how much you knew this already in advance and how useful it is. But basically, the most successful advertising unit in the world is sponsored search. If you add up everything that Google have done over the years and the value that it has created, and then within Amazon, how much retail search advertising is part of this, you have to say that search is a sponsored product, sponsored search, is the most successful advertising unit in the history of the world, by a long shot. And today, actually sponsored search is about 80% of that 56 billion. So the 80% is about, I'm going to say, because I can't do public maths, so I'm going to say it's 40 billion. 40 billion is a good bit ahead of global recorded music industry, good bit ahead of newspaper advertising industry, still ahead of YouTube, still ahead of Netflix. So all this stuff and work we do here on the left-hand side is still dwarfed by one advertising unit called sponsored search. So there's a long way to go yet with sponsored search. And finally, we talk a lot about brands. Your brand is not as strong as you think it is. How I've created a heretical statement on stage, I realize that. But this is an actual search from an actual brand, and it's in Australia, so nobody can get upset. So this company is a very well-known brand. I lived in Australia for years. I'm an Australian passport holder, citizen, and I can tell you every single fridge in Australia has this cheese product. Everyone, and everyone knows this product. It is the name for cheese in Australia. This is an analysis of all the cheese searches words on Coles Media Group. And you can see I've just fixed the numbers to make it easier to read, but this company's name doesn't appear till around 18 in the search. So the number one brand in the country doesn't get searched by its label, by its actual name. So we, as humans, are lazy, and we just search things like cheese, parmesan cheese, cheese, sliced cheese, feta cheese, club cheese, and we don't search for brand. So keyword and understanding keywords is still the mainstay of retail media. In-store is a huge creative opportunity. I've been blabbing on about this for years, and my friend in the US, Andrew Lipsman, has been talking about it as well. He believes it's a new TV, a mass reach advertising vehicle. I think that might be a bit of a stretch for me, but Andrew uses this example here, which he talks about the amount of people visiting Walmart compared to the audience reach for the big channels in the US. Now, it's a bit of a stretch, and it's a bit of a It's not quite apples, and with apples, it's a little more apples and oranges, or maybe oranges and tangerines. But last week, Fraser Group, who are a client of mine, launched their retail media network. And in their pitch, which I didn't create, they show their reach compared to BBC, ITV, and other social media channels. So when the retailers get their act together, they start thinking about how their access, their facies, are very useful to brands. So it's a new way of thinking, as what Farah talked about earlier. This is kind of what it looks like. And they are selling every one of these individual units. And the bit that I think we are missing, I don't mean we here, I mean that I was missing, a lot of people were missing, is how cool the technology that powers these screens are. About a year ago, this is one of my clients in Turkey, Migros, they've got these huge screens across their stores. And they're really quite incredible. And I was very excited by it. And then over the last year, because I've been running a project with Superdrug on their in-store screens, I had to meet all the vendors. And the new technology that's coming to power the screens is like nothing I've seen before. It's really incredible. You can do all sorts of different timings at any time of day with different messages and different creative inputs. So what I would encourage you to do is just think about this in-store screens as a brand new thing that has barely started. My final point on this one is that Bombay Sapphire, who you may know, this is my client in Chile, Cencosud, they are using these really bright screens embedded within the alcohol section. And these screens really pop. And when you're there and you're standing in front of the stand, you're looking at this going, how do I choose which gin and tonic? I guess the blue one, yeah? They have a wine one like this as well. It's absolutely spectacular. So this is one of the things I'm encouraging everybody to think about is the new locations and the new ways these are done is very different to how we thought about them, because even I was trapped in two-year-old thinking. Two more topics before we go on, before we wrap up. Retail media effectiveness data. So you're probably all familiar with this. How brands grow. Alison talked about their brand growth model. I can guarantee you, I haven't seen it, but it's probably based on a lot of this content here. Every brand I work with has a model for brand growth, and it's all tied in with this stuff here. And funnily enough, there is a professor, Professor Kuhn-Pals, who's written extensively, because he's an expert on Byron Sharp stuff, but he's also an expert on measuring retail media effectiveness. And he's written tons of papers around this thing with words such as potential endogeneity bias and diffusion regression. Yes, I have read all these papers. He also works with Amazon, so he's got the best source of data. And the best bit about it is he's Belgian, and he's back in Belgium on Sunday to run the 20 kilometers. You might have seen the signs around. He has a ton of effectiveness data out there around research online, purchase offline, how it helps new product achieve success, the sort of results you get and the synergies you get. These papers are really, really detailed. So if somebody comes to me and says, retail media doesn't work, there's no effectiveness, the data's there, you just haven't looked for it. So search out, follow Professor Pals online. You will find everything you want to find on LinkedIn. The final point is transformation. And you may have seen me say this before, but it was touched on earlier as well by Alison. And I want to use my kind of metaphor I've been using on this. If you haven't seen this metaphor, this is what it looks like. So it's the John, Paul, George, and Ringo metaphor. And I sometimes have to choose the audience I'm doing this with, because I do this with a certain audience, and they're like, who the hell are John, Paul, George, and Ringo? And they don't recognize the heads, and it's like, wow, this is bad, okay? But this is in every single brand, in every single country I go to. All of them, 100% of the time. There is brand marketing, trade marketing, shopper marketing, digital marketing, and you could argue, Colin, there's also maybe an e-commerce, but there isn't a fifth Beatle, so I couldn't put them on it. Yeah? And these operate in silos. And back to what Constantine and Alison were saying, who owns retail media when it's a bit of all of this? Who owns it? And as a result, each of these folks, trade, shopper, retail media, brand marketing, have different objectives, different KPIs, different data sets, and are segregated as a result. I have been in meetings where the shopper person came into the meeting and the digital marketing person was there and the brand marketing. They had never met them before. They operated in the same company. They'd never met them. They didn't even operate in the same city. They literally didn't know who they were. I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago in a big city in the UK, not London, with a very famous brand that everybody knows. They hadn't met their head of retail media in 6 months in person. Yeah. They also had a brand growth model that was completely disconnected from their retail media. Completely disconnected. It was like two different worlds. So what I'm seeing in the US is that the major brands are recognizing that this is a problem, and they're setting up a process whereby the whole thing is integrated a lot more. Some of them come on stage and put their hands up and say, you know what, we're actually bidding on the same search terms. Shopper is bidding on the same search terms as digital marketing, which is also doing the same for brand marketing, and so is their agency. So they're increasing their own prices to bid. So we are going to see a change, and to wrap up this whole point is we're going to see a full-scale emergence of a new way to drive business and new marketing models through retail media, and it'll have a profound influence. That's not me saying that, that's Nick Manning, the founder of Manning Gottlieb in the UK. And he's a big believer in how retail media is the Trojan horse for a rethink on how we go to market in terms of creativity, media, and so on. You can download some of these ideas from my 60-page, written not by an AI, but by me crying into my laptop for about 5 or 6 days in a row. But a lot of these ideas are teased out. They're all based on me talking to brands, me talking to retailers, thinking through, and also some ideas that might help you resolve those internally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Colin. We don't have time for questions, but we will have Colin back on stage later, where he'll be joining us, and we'll have the opportunity to talk to him at the party tonight and at lunch if you can grab him. So thank you very much for that, Colin. Great for our excellent sponsors, Google and Microsoft, to hear that search is still doing really well. Let's look ahead to the rest of the year now, and we're going to be joined on stage by Tony Katsur from the IAB Tech Lab. The IAB Tech Lab roadmap includes some really exciting advancements in privacy, in transparency, and in open source innovation. Tony Katsur is going to take us through the Trusted Server Framework, which is a bold step forwards for protecting the open web. So please join me in welcoming Tony Katsur from the IAB Tech Lab.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Let's dive right into the trusted server. Welcome to the era of signal loss. Whether it's the cookie, the device ID, the IP address, or HTTP stripping, 2025 is another year in the age of accelerated signal loss. To be clear, signal loss didn't start this year. It didn't start last year, for that matter. It actually commenced in September of 2017, when WebKit, which is the basis of Apple's Safari browser, released the first version of Intelligent Tracking Prevention, better known as ITP. And signal loss, I can assure you, is only accelerating. Whether it's the loss of the cookie, or the obfuscation of the IP address, or masking emails, the digital ad economy is undergoing unprecedented and accelerated cycle of signal loss. But why or when the cookie or IP address is being deprecated is not the point. The point is we must accept that not only is it happening, it has happened. As I mentioned, Safari started down this road in 2017, and then they moved on to removing mobile identifiers in April of 2021. And while thankfully the Chrome browser has recently reversed course on third-party cookie deprecation, thank you Chrome, the reality is that the third-party cookie is on its last legs. Even with Chrome maintaining third-party cookies, only 35% of the browser ecosystem is cookieless worldwide, and in Europe, 40% of the browser ecosystem is cookieless. There are also plans to eventually obfuscate the IP address, not just in incognito or in private browsing either. We're very clearly at the end of losing both IP address and third-party cookies as signals. There are more developments like this in the future where we could see browser telemetry go to zero. And as I mentioned, browser telemetry going to zero, in addition to losing the third-party cookie, there are plans to possibly restrict third-party network calls, block IP addresses, and even encrypt DNS to obfuscate any signal from the operating systems and their browsers. I would encourage you to read the WebKit blog for those of you that are so inclined. That is the basis for the Safari browser. The chief architect of that, John Wielander, actually lays out Apple's strategy for ongoing signal deprecation in the Safari browser. In short, browsers and operating systems are increasingly removing core signaling that digital advertising needs. These changes threaten traditional advertising monetization models, and they've already impacted publisher yields based on the data that we have seen at the Tech Lab. We see this as an existential threat to the digital ad economy, impacting publishers first and foremost. But signal loss is not just the loss of technographic signals for publishers to model and tokenize audiences. There are currently proposals in the W3C, the browser standards body, which could dictate measurement and attribution models used to reconcile campaigns across the open web. This is insanity. The proposals within the browser environment have not matured to a point where they are viable replacements for today's advertising paradigm. Maybe in the future, but not today. We also maintain a position that attribution models are a discussion between buyer and seller, and it is not the remit of the browsers or any other middleman to get in between those conversations to determine how advertising budgets are attributed to publishers. The Tech Lab, we do remain engaged with the W3C and other browsers to try and influence their roadmaps and drive a more practical solution for the open web. But publishers are not the only ones impacted by these proposed browser changes. Brands will also be impacted in their ability to effectively find their audiences, target and measure campaign performance across the open web. So the Tech Lab believes it's time for the industry to move on from the browsers to sort of a new frontier. As browsers control the last mile to the consumer, we've entered a world where data matching and programmatic execution must move to publisher-controlled environments, such as their content management systems and their edge compute platforms, such as their cloud provider, or in more common parlance, your content delivery network. This isn't far-fetched. There is technical precedence for server-side programmatic execution and ad serving in CTV. 95% or greater of CTV advertising is actually done on the server side. So while the open web is not as simple as server-side ad insertion in CTV, the Tech Lab is bringing a framework to the market to drive this. This is straight out of what we call the Tech Lab Labs initiative, and we call it the Trusted Server. Publishers in the room, it's your content, it's your audience, and it's your right to monetize both of those core assets as you see fit within the limits of regulations, namely privacy, not dictated by anyone else but you and your advertising partners. It's time for you to take that right back. Some of the Trusted Server's key features are server-side ad requests, pre-bid server integration, and bid processing, edge cloud processing, and server-side ad stitching for the web. Tech Lab, we're not hosting this, an instance of Trusted Server for the industry, but this is an open source project that we have launched about 6 weeks ago for publishers and their publishing partners to operate themselves. We've planned for plug-in support for third-party providers such as identity resolution partners, fraud prevention, brand safety, and measurement solutions. Those are all in our roadmap. One core design principle around the trusted server was to be able to plug and play into the existing programmatic ecosystem, resulting in minimal disruption. There's no rewriting of RTB endpoints, and it allows you to work with as many of your existing systems as possible as you would today. For any SSPs and DSPs in the room, this should be a relatively seamless transition for you because we've integrated Prebid Server into the Trusted Server framework, thus allowing you to continue to manage your programmatic or work with your partners in a programmatic fashion like you would today. We do expect some heavier lifting from some of those third parties like ID resolution companies, measurement, anti-fraud, and brand safety partners, but we're actively engaged with all of them. In fact, I had a call with 2 of them last night. So some of the design goals around the trusted server, again, are server-side ad requests, plug-and-play support for addressability and identity partners, ad fraud prevention, addressing that on the server side, enabling measurement also on the server side. The simplest way for non-technical folks to think of it in the room is everything we've done in the browser today, jamming it with tons of JavaScript and third-party ad network calls, is moving that to the server side of the ecosystem. It's not a mandate to move, it's a fallback position for publishers as operating systems and browsers continue to constrain publishers' abilities to monetize in that environment due to signal loss. So it's really about creating optionality for publishers to continue to manifest those signals that they use for digital advertising on the server side as needed. A very brief, basic overview of how this works. This may be a little technical for some folks in the room, but just stick with me for a moment, is when a browser or a user visits a publisher domain, it triggers a server-side execution to your content delivery network. If you've heard of Akamai or Fastly or Cloudflare or CloudFront, this is where the initial call is received. This is where the trusted server lives. The trusted server edge then receives that request from the browser. So we're actually getting that first hit from the browser itself. And this triggers multiple asynchronous requests throughout the digital ad supply system. So effectively, the trusted server is acting almost as like an ad router in this case. So ad and identity partners are receiving requests with explicit data signals from this edge platform, the trusted server. The trusted server code then waits for responses and executes as instructed by the publisher, ad auction results, HTML response, etc. The responses to the trusted server are then completed, and then the full content and the ads are displayed to the client under the first-party domain, along with any third-party callbacks from the actual edge, not the browser itself. I know, clear as mud, right? So what are some of the key features? We talked about server-side ad requests, server-side ad stitching. The trusted server can do a couple of things. It can actually stitch the ad into the page, so when the page is delivered to the browser, the ad is already rendered into the browser itself. It can also rewrite third-party ad calls or any third-party vendor calls under the first-party domain. So if you are publisher.a.com and you're working with a third party that is adtechpartnerb.com, we can rewrite adtechpartnerb.com under publisher.a.com. So everything then gets delivered under a first-party basis into the browser, and the browser continues to make those calls as necessary. We are fully integrated with Prebid Server, again, for that seamless transition to a server-side environment. And again, we talked about plug and play into existing programmatic systems to minimize disruption. I do want to stress this is a prototype. We announced this about 7 weeks ago at our privacy and addressability event in New York City, but we are actively developing it. We've engaged now with 7 publishers globally, some here in Europe, some in the US, in gathering features, and we plan on starting actively testing this with those publishers over the course of the summer. We've also gotten some questions by folks, what's the difference between this and Prebid Server? There are some key differences here. The trusted server acts as a server-side middle layer, enabling first-party identity through synthetic IDs or first-party server-side cookies. We package up that identity for publishers to federate their audiences at their discretion. So if you think of the things that you've done, again, using JavaScript today on the browser side, we've moved all of that into the server side. This is a tagless solution. You don't require any tags on page to activate this. Trusted Server does not manage the auction. That is the domain of Prebid Server. Again, how it works today, it manages your programmatic auction itself. Another big difference is that Trusted Server actually has the entire context of the web page itself. It's actually part processing and parsing the web page itself. Prebid Server has the context of the specific ad request. We actually have the context of the entire page. So there's some interesting things we could do with that in a future developments in the roadmap. And then just one more thing beyond effectively bolstering signal on a server side for publishers is that by doing this on the server side, as ad blocking continues to grow, and depending on what study you've read over the past 2 years, ad blocking continues to increase. It's anywhere between 25 to 50% of ads are blocked across the web. The research we have done, it comes in around 42% of ad blocking is in place globally. And it's increased 15% just in the last 5 years. And we've actually seen the highest increase of ad blocking within the mobile ecosystem. The Trusted Server works across all environments. It's not just browsers. It can work in app. It can work in CTV, but again, we have server-side solutions for CTV today. So the beauty of rewriting everything here in a first-party context, or better yet, stitching the ad into the actual content, is that it circumvents a lot of the ad blocking out there. So anyone who would like to see a 20 to 40% revenue boost literally overnight, I would encourage you to investigate the Trusted Server. We're happy to work with you on it. Let's talk about the roadmap quickly. So we are currently in this middle ground between a proof of concept, which again we announced about 7 weeks ago in New York. We're now moving into a minimally viable prototype with feedback from publishers, identity partners, CMPs. We've already integrated both the TCF and the GPP into the Trusted Server to process those signals accordingly before you create any sort of identifier on the consumer. And then we're moving into the next phase of development where we'll be tackling things like ad fraud throughout the remainder of the year and just integrity of the actual Trusted Server framework itself. One of the challenges we face with this is that when you move out of the browser into the server side, you introduce another layer of opacity because server-side technologies are harder to inspect, where the browsers are much more open. So this is a core issue that we are going to try and solve in partnership with the ecosystem for the remainder of this year. If you'd like to learn more, the QR code is up there. Help yourself to it. I'm also around all afternoon to answer any questions. If you'd like to participate in the proof of concept with the other 7 publishers, we're happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you. You've made something that I think is quite complex sound as simple as it could be for some of us in the room. So thank you for explaining it to us. Finally, we're getting close to lunch, but to close out our morning session, we're very proud to welcome Anastasiya Baydachenko, who is the CEO of the IEB Ukraine, to the stage. Her leadership has really been an inspiration to us during times of incredible challenge and change in her country. Anastasiya, the stage is yours.
Is it work?
Yeah.
My ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here in person and to be a living reminder of my country. Every interact since the war begins. I'm going to speak about destroying modern war illusions. It will be more about war, less about digital industry, but from us, team of IAB Ukraine. I think it was about 10 years ago, I was honored to be a part of Aspen seminar. As usual on such seminars, we were discussing prominent scholars' works. And one of them, I suppose it was Václav Havel, it was concept of modern war. I could summarize in my own word this concept as the war. This modern war will be never looks like it was before. There will be clusters safe, and there will be clusters dangerous with active battles, and combat strikes will be very targeted, mostly target on military objects. And information spread and propaganda will play a great role. Now I could form 10 illusions about modern war inside being inside this modern type of war. All of Ukrainians now experience this concept, and the main summary is that the illusion created by Václav Havel concept are destroying now. First of all, I'm starting from a prologue about duality, true duality of Ukrainian life. It was last fall. My friends and I, all of us from digital industry in Ukraine, we have a dinner in a restaurant. In one moment, we hear ambulance siren. One car, one ambulance, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we lost count how many. The general rule is, for example, for car accident, for one victim, one car. There were so many ambulances that we thought something truly dreadful but we saw the direction, and we understand that all of them, something 20 plus ambulances, came to the central railway station. Why? Because at that time, evacuation medical train came. And these ambulances came for our wounded soldiers. This was like a strike. And we said maybe 30, 40 minutes without no talking. Because we understand we have a dinner, and a lot of ambulances at the same time came to the central railway station to bring immediately wounded soldiers to the military hospital. So my first illusion is 3-day duration. Unfortunately, today is 1,183rd day of the war. So it looks like and feels like chronic disease. I think today we are very close to the Israeli concept. We are in a chronic war. So maybe someone believes that it could take Kiev in 3 days, but no, more than 1,000 days, and we are keeping. Illusion number 2, very actual this spring. The third party cannot be a guarantor of our sovereignty. Not in case of national security or defense. We signed a Budapest Memorandum. We gave up our nuclear weapon. I understand that it's our responsibility, and it was a kind of childish understanding to be sure that someone guarantee our security. But as you know, we have Russia as one of the side of this memorandum, and we are in open war. So please do not make our mistakes. No third party could guarantee national security. Illusion number 3, according to Václav Havel, it will be no civil targets. in truth, a lot of civil targets, a lot. In fact, some of them are by mistake because Russian so-called high modern and targeted weapon easily make a mistake for half a kilometer. And also they used old maps. But a lot of civil targets are planned because it's a demoralization of civil people. And you can see this broken trolley bus. It was Palm Sunday, religious holiday in Ukraine. We are very religious nation. It was morning. People are going to church or from church. And the Russians strike with ballistics. The city of Sumy, it's a quite big city, and destroy city center, hit the civil transport. And a lot of, you should understand that it will be a lot of civil targets. Mistaken or planned, but it will be a lot. And please remember this trolley bus from Palm Sunday in summer. Illusion number 4. We believe that the war has some rules, customs, codes, or policies. No, they are broken. They are totally broken. You can see these guys. They are from Russian captivity. Generally, it's weight loss of 20-40 kilograms. Torture, beating, sexual assaults, psychological pressure, propaganda, and so on. And you can see very unclear screenshot. It's a very violent and dangerous video because it's a video of Ukrainian soldier alive beheaded by Russians. And it's not propaganda. All victims and suspected criminals, we know them. So it's totally proved case. And I'm very unhappy to tell this, but be sure that you will face all these broken rules if the war will reach your territory. It's absolutely truth. Illusion number 5. I have humanistic views and values, and before this war, I was absolutely believe that a human being, if he doesn't have any mental disorders, could not cause such pain to the other human being. But what we can see on the deliberated territories, Kiev region, very close to me, Kharkiv region, we see mass murders, non-combatant murders, women, kids, babies, mass shooting, mass burial, sexual assaults, looting. And if you think that it is a screenshot from Tarantino in Glorious Bastard, no. It's guy from Russian captivity. You may think that I take this photo from the internet. No, my daughter, she is a volunteer in foundation helping ex-militaries with scars. She knows this guy personally. So it's not a screenshot, it's our real life. Mostly, we believe that warriors are only on the battlefield, soldiers, our army. But for me, now emergency workers are heroes. Emergency workers, rescue dogs, because they need to be on the place of attack in 2 minutes. And Russian understand and them as also a target, because they very often double the heat, understanding that in a few minutes there will be rescue services and they could attack them at all. And please see this guy, it's just 13 years old, boy from Sumy. Do you remember this trolley bus? When the ballistic hit the trolley bus, this boy wounded, he broke the exit and helped other people, wounded and alive, go from this burning trolley bus. He is 13 years old. His name is Kirilo. Illusion number 7. I often hear that some countries refuse to sell or to give to Ukraine their air defense system. Why? Because they need them too. But it is an illusion to think that air defense it be like 100% guarantee of the safe sky. You see the examples, it's attacks by ballistics to Kiev, and it is successful job by air defense. So it's falling debris caused such problems, such as destruction. That is why even air defense do its jobs perfectly. You couldn't guarantee that the falling debris didn't destroy any building glasses in the windows or any apartment building. That is why we have in Kyiv one metro station. It kind of long-suffering target because it was 5 or 6 times ballistic attack destroyed this metro station, not inside but outside. And for me, it's even surprisingly that our city authorities they put these glasses every time again, because maybe it should be better decision to make not glasses but something more strong, because this station is quite often is a target of the attacks. And I also want to show you the video when the air defense did not repel the ballistic. I speak a lot of ballistics because now it's a main danger for biggest city in the Kyiv. So this video is available on BBC. I just put some screens with English text. But it's a difference. Ballistics, when it hit, and ballistics falling debris also destroyed a lot of buildings. One illusion is good news because first of all, in the February of 2022, we have feeling as an industry that the digital economy will be collapsed. However, digital industry shows high adaptivity and high elasticity. And even I put all these figures in euros, and we have a not bad situation. It is not such a situation for the total Ukrainian economy, but digital economy shows quite good stability. And what is more interesting, I find out during this war experience that since February we have 25 new IAB members, but all of them are locals. So our local players trust and believe in us as industry organization. And for example, Google for some times has the hesitation if they still should be a member, because it's a difference between local players and global, and it's just strange for me because industry have problems, have needs, and we as industry organization works a lot to solve it. That is why, as usual, in this place, in every my speech, I tell that if you have businesses, members that have business in Ukraine, propose them to be IAB members, because we are working. We work every single day since February 2022. Also, one of very important illusion is that generally when I talk about our experience about kids, babies, people ask, the psyche of the future generation will be destroyed because of this war experience. But I think that we're now in process of forming a new normality. You can see two baby girls. It's from our team. It's 2 months Olivia and 9 months Maria. And they are daughters of our project managers. They are both girls of war, they are babies of war. And for example, when we have a ballistic attack, and it's very loud. It's very loud and all buildings shaking. We are always taking messages, and I ask girls, how are kids? And they are sleeping. They are sleeping. Maybe it sounds strange, but I think it's a good news for us that kids born in the war keep their psyche sleeping during the ballistics. And one more emotional example. This is 2 French bulldogs. It's also from our member. Their names are Brittany and Hermione. And they're also dogs of war. And if you know, French bulldogs is very emotional, very sensitive dogs, almost like a child. And when I ask my colleague Sveta, what are your dogs? Are they nervous? No, they're happy. They are dogs of war. When they hear air raid siren, they're going to the corridor or to the bathroom, and they're happy because they understand I will join them. And for French bulldogs, it's like a bonus. Maybe the main illusion number 10. When we have such a modern war with the clusters of danger and relatively safe clusters, we have an illusion that it doesn't affect me, not me. It's like a childish thought, but we have it. But actually, it could affect, and no one knows when. So this is our team photos, and the baby, it's a Maria from the previous slide, and Maria's mama, Olena, it's our industrial project manager. And this is Nazar, Olena's husband. Nazar joined Ukrainian army 2 weeks after Maria was born. And Nazar is operator of drone. It's a profession of high demand in Ukrainian army. But unfortunately, on the May 4th, Nazar was deeply wounded. Enemy drone attacked his team, and Nazar was wounded, and he lost one of his leg, and he had wounds for another part of his body, and actually he lost the right leg below the knee, and now he is in hospital, and I could say his moral state it's not so good, but we're trying to help him. And now he will need a very long rehabilitation because of a lot of shrapnel wounds, and we will be grateful for any support. And for the most of all, which is strange, Nazar was worried not about his health, but about that he could not join his army department again because of the type of his wounding. And actually, Olena was crying too much, and the doctor in the military hospital, he told her, why are you crying? You're happy. Please look around. See the types of wounding. You are lucky one because he will have his prosthesis and he will run after his baby. So don't cry. You may ask why we don't give up, why we are continuing to bear these losses, human losses, and these constant destructions. Mostly because we lost our illusions about this war. Our choice is small and poor, to resist or to genocide. So what can we do? First of all, to believe. It's very important to believe, to have a hope and to fight. But how long? To the victory or to the death? Because you actually won't have a time to hear the missile flying at you. If you hear the missile, it's not yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anastasia. Please do find Anastasia at lunch so she can... Please do find Anastasia at lunch because you have more thoughts, don't you, on what we can actually do. So please do find Anastasia at lunch. We've gone into the lunch hour a little bit, but I hope you agree it was worth it. It's important for us to hear, and it's so brave of Anastasia to come every year for the last 3 years to share her story and the videos of the IAB in Ukraine. Now, as I mentioned, it's time for lunch. We're concluding the morning plenary. Sorry. Please join us back at 2 o'clock. That means you've got less time to eat, but it was worth it. I hope you'll agree. In here, we'll have sessions this afternoon on retail media, privacy, and connected TV. And then in the other room, there's going to be smaller masterclasses and roundtables. Both will be practical with real ideas that you can apply. And then don't forget that tonight we've got this fancy party at this amazing rooftop. If you scan that code, you'll get the directions to get there, and I will share that code again later. So please do have an excellent lunch. It's actually going to be upstairs, a couple of floors on the ground level with natural light, and we'll see you back in one of the 2 rooms at 2 p.m. Thank you.